Hey everybody, this is Dark Side Elite here, and got back from watching it a couple of hours ago, um, and I had to basically deflate on this movie, and I'm gonna give a this is gonna be a non-spoiler of the movie. I'll give you my general feel about how I feel the movie was done, and in comparison to the first movie. Um, Now, one of the big things that a lot of that I've been hearing over the internet is that the the story that it wasn't as good as the first movie and that there wasn't as much jump scares. Um, I'm gonna tell you right here now that's BS. This movie was laying the foundations of the story of Pennywise. This was literally us understanding the story of Pennywise. We already understand those kids. We already understand Bill, the losers, and Bill and Beverly and Ben and the rest of them. We already know who they are. We already got the understanding of their backstories and the turmoil they went through as kids dealing with Pennywise as kids. But this was supposed to be them as adults and them finding out how they're going to be able to go after this clown. Um, we know that the clown was going to come back, so that's not a big spoiler. If you say that's a spoiler, then I don't know what to tell you. I think you were under a rock somewhere. But we knew that the clown was going to come back. Okay, but the way they did this movie, they gave you a good understanding of who Pennywise is, what he is, and why, um, and personally why certain events happened the way they did. I think that they did a very, very good job with it. This movie did had a great level of jump scares, and also it was a much bigger story, and they had to with Andy. Andy had to actually give us the story of Pennywise. If they cut out the stuff that most people would consider would be flubber, I think that I think that it would have been maybe okay, but I think by cutting it out, it would have actually not have sped up the movie, but it would have actually made you go, okay, then how did he get here? Um, so I don't think he did any wasted shots. Um, Now, Bill as Pennywise was almost it was like he just picked up the role again. It felt like they filmed this movie and back in 2016 and they put them and I'm sorry, back in 2018 and they basically put the movie on the shelf. That's what I felt they did. It felt like they put the movie on the shelf and this movie's already was made like over a year ago. That's how I feel that they did Bill. I'm sorry, Pennywise. How Bill did Pennywise. It was not. He did not lose a step. He still had that type of energy that he had in the first movie, and he gave us more emotional depth with Pennywise because of the way the story unfolded, and also it gave a great level of explanations um, about why each of them left and why they came back and the story that unfolded there without spoiling anything. I don't want to spoil anything. Um, how did I feel about each actor? I think that James McAvoy killed it as Bill. He. This is what I think. This is truly from my bottom of my heart. And again, I watched this movie, and I'm saying it right here now. This movie's coming to my collection. I'm gonna get this movie. Each of those characters, and I'll even add Jessica Chastain to this. It felt like those actors were around those kids for months and those kids were just being exactly what they were in the first movie, and it felt like these actors were them. I think that Bill Hader picked up everything that the actor who did Richie Tozer. It felt like that. It felt like that kid. It felt like that kid grown up. Same thing goes for Bill. What James McAvoy did with Justin. Jessica Chastain did a very good job with Beverly Marsh. Um, the actor that played as Stan Uris, oh my god, Andy Bean, I think his name is. He did a phenomenal. It felt like that. The kid who played the Stan Uris in the first movie, the actor that they got to play the older version, it looked almost dead on like him. It felt like that these actors looked at those kids' mannerisms and pretty much enveloped it into their own. It felt like this is the older versions of them. Same goes for the actor who played as Eddie Casbrick it felt like the younger version of him. He had those mannerisms. He had that gulp. He had it was a lot of things that they did in that movie that those actors picked up from those younger actors, and it felt like that's what they were as their younger selves. The actor they got to play as Ben, the older version of Ben, it literally that kid looks like if he got into massive levels of shape and grew up in 27 years, that's exactly what he would look like. Just you can see there's certain features on these older actors that you could see on these younger actors. I think that they did a really good level of casting with a lot of them. But their acting, a lot of them, their acting was superb. They did a very, very, very good job with it. Um, I think that they did a very, very good job with it. I also think that Andy did a really great job with the casting of both the younger and the older actors. And I think by having the younger actors work with the older actors so they could get down those mannerisms, it made each and every one of their acting believable. Like you literally saw that they were genuinely afraid, and they got real in depth that their younger selves just never truly internally never grew up. That the moment they met Pennywise again, it was like they were back 27 years ago dealing with him again. Even though they're older and they're more wiser. Um, and I think that the ending is going to throw a lot of people off. Or a good amount of people. I think it's going to throw off a good amount of people off. But I think that if you just look back at the first movie and then come back and look at this movie, you're going to understand that Andy did a really good job with explaining everything and wrapping it all up for every one of their stories. There are a couple of hiccups I feel that he did in the movie, but I will explain that more in my spoiler review because I don't want to spoil it. I think that the movie is solid. The story is solid. I think some of the choices he made is a little weird. However, and what I mean by choices is character choices. Like some of the character choices he did in the first movie doesn't reflect very well in the second, and you'll pick it up if you really, really look at it. But all in all, this is a great movie. It's not projecting to the way that people are saying that the first movie did. I don't care. If you really think about it, there are no other movies right now that's going to be able to topple it right now. There really isn't. There's nothing really strong coming out anytime soon. So I think they're going to have good long legs. I think that people are going to be generally scared. I went to a theater and there was maybe like at most 10 people, but I paid a higher price ticket. I think that if I went to a lower price ticket, that place was probably going to be a little bit more filled. I also do believe that this weekend there's a lot of people out and about, and because the weather is so well, they're just out and about. I think that the first weekend it's not going to do very well, but I think by the word of mouth and people really saying, "Hey, no, go see this movie," I think that it's going to get much stronger legs, and I personally believe that this movie is going to make as much or maybe a little bit more than the first movie. And even if it only makes maybe $600 million at the box office before it finally ends, who the heck cares? It made more. It still made double. It still made over doubled its budget. I mean, come on. The movie is only let's say about $70 million. If the budget's $70 million and it makes $600 million, it's a success. I don't care what anybody says. Who the heck cares? I think that people are really projecting more into box office than literally looking at the mathematics of it. And I think that people are looking at more at box office than anything else. If you're going to look at box office and consider that because of its success, then you're looking at the wrong set of numbers. I think that in all honesty, if a person walks into a movie and they're willing to pay $20 to come and see a movie and they come out and they're going, man, I was thoroughly entertained, the movie did its job. So just because it didn't get to everybody does not mean that it was not a terrible movie. So I personally believe that if you're not afraid of clowns, or you're not afraid of if the first movie did not scare the living pee out of you, then this movie isn't going to do the same thing. You're going to be it's going to be pretty much the same jump scares. And I don't mean it's boring, but it's just going to have that same level of jump scares where you know that the moment he shows up, a kid's going to get eaten. So if there's a little kid involved and he's sitting there talking to that little kid, that kid's gonna get eaten. I'm sorry. I mean, there's nothing the way around it. He's gonna snack on that little kid, and it's gonna have its finger hanging out of its teeth. So, but if that doesn't bother you, and the first movie didn't bother you, and you were thoroughly entertained, you're going to be entertained in this movie. I personally do believe that Andy is going to be the best the best director for The Flash. He did a very good job with building the relationships. Like I've always said in my previous movies, he did a really great job building the relationships, getting us to understand a lot of the characters a little bit more, and the depth of what he took from the book, and he was able to translate it pretty dang well into live action without having to truly go further into the books, because there are a lot of changes from the books that he did in the first movie and even in this second movie. So, but he didn't crap all over it. There's also a couple of scenes where Andy is actually in the scene, and there's actually a scene in there where you actually see Stephen King. So I mean, come on, I mean, spoiler, sorry. But there are some scenes you could easily miss them. There, except the one with Stephen King, you can't really miss it. It's actually a scene. But the one where you see Andy, you can easily just not see him. So how do I rate this movie? I rate this movie. The first movie is literally an 8.5 to I'll say an 8.5 out of 10. This one is an 8.5 also. I tie it with the first movie. I think they did a really good job. There was a few hiccups in the first movie about characters, and then again hiccups in this one because of where certain characters are. I think they did a really good job on the ending. I don't know if there's a post-credit scene I left beforehand. I will look into it and see if there is one, and I will talk about that in my spoiler review. But if there isn't, I really wish that they put in a post-credit scene. I really wish they put in a post-credit scene to really emphasize a little bit more about Pennywise and where Pennywise really comes from, and give us a little bit more about that. But hey, like, comment, share, subscribe down below. Hit that bell. I will have this out tomorrow. I will have this out on today, and no, I will have this out tomorrow on Sunday. I watched it here on Saturday. I will have this up tomorrow, and by Wednesday you will have the spoiler review. I want more people to go watch it. I think that if you guys share it, let other people see what they think about it. And also check out my other videos. I talk a little bit more about DC, but a lot of the movies that I want to see, I will do a little bit more reviews. I usually type some out and put it on my Facebook, but I will do more videos. It's a little bit better that way, and also not so time consuming. So like I said, if you guys have a great one, like, comment, share, subscribe down below. Tell me what you guys think. If you've seen the movie, what do you think? If you're not going to watch it, hey, that's perfectly fine. What did you think? But I still believe, unless you are definitely afraid of clowns, then don't go watch this movie, because Bill Skarsgård legitimately will completely scare the soul out of you about how he did this role, and the ending of it was so great. And that's something I really want to talk about in my spoiler review, but I will get to that then, and I will end it here. You guys have a great one. Bye.